viewers, welcome back to Spotlight, and it is here on Hope TV where you look and live. And our subject on this edition is TreeTop back on the shelves, and we have with us Bernard Njoroge, who is the man behind bringing back TreeTop into the shelves after 19 years of absence. And one of the things that Bismarck, you mentioned is that you are a prayerful person, and of course that is something we will talk about, because the value system, when you talk about your prayer life, then that already illumines a whole area of your life that the viewers also need to know. But before we get there, you've worked with a multinationals rather, and that's a dream of every person, to just go up the ladder and be at the top. And then now you've worked as your own boss, right?
Yeah.
What's the feeling?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as you said, I managed to achieve my career goals working for other people, because when you are training as a marketeer, your vision, your goal is to be the marketing director of a big multinational company. And I achieved that because by the time I exited to start this business, I was the Africa director, marketing and sales director for Del Monte. So I had reached my peak. So when I exited and started my own business, what I have now is freedom.
Mm-hmm.
I have freedom.
Even your eyes are opening,
yes.
Wide, as you say.
Yes,
Freedom.
Yes. Freedom to make
Yes.
decisions,
Mm-hmm.
freedom to test the whatever I would like to do. Remember, when you're working for the companies, you don't have the ultimate control.
Mm-hmm.
You still have to get a corporate approval for certain things in the US or in the United Kingdom, depending on where your head office is. But here, you're the boss. So I have the freedom to chart my own territory. And that's the biggest thing I have working for myself. The second thing is the impact, or the impact I'm having on other people. When I was working for a multinational company, my impact was limited to the number of employees working under my department, which was about like maybe 15 to 20 people, okay? And that's it. But now working for myself, I have an impact, I'm impacting over 120 employees, over 20,000 farmers, and therefore I can make a huge difference working for myself. And number three, I am building my own value, okay? And I'm building this value that will now work for generations to come. That is my children, my children's children. And of course also sharing it out with other people, because I don't want to be the only person in town who has all the money. I would like to share it out with the charities, with the other people, with the church, and all that. Something I could never have done working for other companies.
Yes, it's amazing. Like you've thought these things through, and you have it's like you've had this conversation with yourself. And because all these facts are very solid and they are coming out quite naturally, that starting with freedom, and also going into the impact, and also the innovation, and building your own value. And talking about building your own value, because this is a fascinating story. How is the community receiving this story? Every time, whether it's the corporates or it's communities, how are they receiving this story when they know you are the man who has brought TreeTop back?
Yeah, what I can tell you, Buri, is that people are very positive about the whole idea of TreeTop coming back. And it reminds them of their past. It reminds them of where they came from. And then it has been brought by Bernard Njoroge, who is a very adventurous man. Remember, it's for you to be an entrepreneur, to leave a job, a comfort of a corner office, a six-figure salary, and all the support that comes with it. It's adventure that which is my key values that I've been driving. Number two is that we've come into this business with a lot of honesty. A lot of honesty. And especially this comes in, especially when you're what you're declaring on your product. You find some people are not honest. They would sell a product, they would not declare all the ingredients. But for us, we said we are going to be an honest company. We're going to be an honest brand. Any ingredients we put in our packs, we will rightfully say. I see some brands of juices. They say we don't add sugar, and they add sugar in the product, and they don't tell consumers that we have sugar. We declare whatever, all the ingredients that we put in. The other value that we have is integrity. I'm a firm believer in working hard. I don't believe in cutting corners. You literally have to, up your sleeves up and go into the trenches and start working. Because it has to be a lot of hard work for you to achieve what you need. I see a lot of young people nowadays, they don't want to work hard, they want to go into betting.
It's really a betting generation.
It's a betting generation. And I'm telling them, no, you cannot do that. You really have to go deep and work hard in the trenches. And if you have faith and you have self-belief in yourself, you build something for yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
And quite some values there: adventure, honesty, integrity, diligence. And talking about integrity, because we live in a society that is besieged by corruption. And Sky Foods comes, TreeTop comes into that kind of context. Now, I want to ask you, Bernard, is there space for honest business in Kenya?
Yes. I'll tell you very confidently, there is a space for very honest business. Since I started up this business, I have not paid any bribe to anyone. You would imagine that probably when you are bringing in machinery, you have to bribe somebody at the port to speed up the process. We didn't have to pay nothing. And everything just came in. Of course, I had really prayed so hard about this business. And I said earlier, I'm a Catholic. I'm a member of the Catholic Men Association and a very prayerful person. And I said earlier, I pray every day. I had prayed for this business from inception. So I strongly believe you can do honest business. I never paid any bribe for connection to power. I never paid any bribe to get the Kenya Bureau of Standards marks. I never paid any bribe to get any licenses. And you can imagine the number of licenses that you need to run a food company. You need a health certificate for the business and for the employees. You need a single business permit from the county government. You need the Kenya Bureau of Standards mark for all the products you're making. And we have about 41 different SKUs. So for each and every SKU, you need a mark. You need the excise license from the Kenya Revenue Authority. And we haven't paid a single bribe. And we have also been lucky because, and I think it's because God has been on our side. We have never had people asking for the bribe. Yeah, I've not come across anybody asking. Yeah, and we had said as a part of our company policy, if they will ask for the bribe, would rather stop it rather than pay the bribe.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I'm thanking God for that. Honestly.
Yeah. I'm thanking God too.
Yeah.
Because every time, most of the times when you ask many people, they say it's impossible to do business in Kenya without just developing a whole way of or a whole budget, for bribing and all that. And now to hear from you, Bismarck, that there is space for honest business in Kenya. That again is revolutionary.
Yes,
it's revolutionary because sometimes we go just by the we go by the culture. But it seems that there's space for those who go countercultural.
Yes, absolutely. And I will support that because that has been my experience. And it's not about the mindset that you have when you're coming into that. If you come to that space and thinking that you have to bribe people, you will end up bribing. I came into this business knowing that I want to do a clean and secure business. And it's because I was not alone. I have other investors who funded and who backed me up, including ICDC, including IBLD, including other investors who have been to school with, And I told them, guys, I'm going to run a clean and honest business. Yeah.
And no wonder earlier on you kept saying that you had to get people of your own values,
yes,
with whom you share similar values. And now, coming from that, I would want to ask you two questions. In running an honest business, what are some specific areas which you remember you've been rewarded for that? And what are some areas where you feel you've lost out because of the honesty?
I cannot remember for the areas I've been rewarded because especially on the things to do with the compliance with the government regulations, that is with the Kenya Bureau of Standards, with the Kenya Revenue Authority, and also the county government, because wherever we went selling our products and they demanded those certifications, we were able to produce them on time because we had them. If we didn't have them, maybe we would have been forced to go and probably being forced to pay certain monies which are not necessary. So I didn't have to do that because we had followed the right.
You're clean from the word
client
code.
from the word code, and that's the biggest benefit. And number two, of course, is now the employee that I have brought in on board. Part of the induction process in our business is for them to see to learn the company values. We have spelled out the company values, and we say if you subscribe to these values, because you are now successful to be employed by us, we will sign you a letter of appointment. And those company values include what I'm talking about: the integrity, the honesty, the teamwork, leadership, collaboration, working with other people, and of course diversity. Because we are building a business not only for one section of the country, but for the whole country. So you come into a business and you find that we've got everybody. I mean, from production, the sales and marketing, finance. It has a face of Kenya. Yeah, so we encourage people, and we enforce that people must subscribe to the company values.
Okay. Yeah. Are there some times, Benjamin, where you've Bernard, where you've had to say no, either to particular people who are interested in partnering with you, but because of the values they hold, then you say, I cannot work, you just politely decline? Or business opportunities which you have said no to because of the kind of deals that are put on your table?
Yeah, of course, really. There was, I remember when we were setting up the business and we're now getting in the investors on board, there was a particular investors who came in, and when we did our due diligence, we realized that we cannot work with them because the information we got about them is that there are people who would like to cut corners, especially when it comes into paying like taxes and stuff like that. And we said, honorably, no, we cannot work with you. We are sorry, because of what information we got. That is in terms of people coming into the business. We have said no to certain businesses whereby people would demand a bribe to list the product. We said we would rather not list the product in that outlet because we are not willing to pay the money. Or you want to win a tender to supply the water to this corporation, you need to pay us money. We have said no to those kind of business.
Okay.
Yeah, we are sticking to on the straight and the narrow. We know it is not easy to become success. All the successful people you see in the world, they have scars all over. And you get those scars when you're working hard in the trenches and pushing the right agenda and doing the right thing all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you have 120 employees. And those are many families, right? And they rely on you for their livelihood. And my thoughts are, I mean, you are working under maybe 20 people, as you said earlier. I mean, you had about 20, 30 people working under you earlier. But now you don't just have people who work under you. You have 120 people, and still counting, of people whose homes rely on you. Now, how does that drive your imagination? How does that drive your spirit?
It really humbles you. You feel very humbled that you're in charge of 120 people. You got to pay them salaries, and we pay on time. We make sure that we pay these guys on time. We train them. We have created an environment where the very best in them can come out. From the outset, I said, I want to set up a company that when people wake up, they don't click their tongue and say, am I going to work for this guy? I want them to wait for him to ask, to pray hard for the next day to come, so they can come report to the office. And if you come and you run through the hallways in Skyfoods, people are incredibly happy. In fact, I've had employees coming back and say, Bernard, you treat your employees very well. You see, as a leader, they say you either have to be, on one side you have to be a policeman, on the other side you have to be a bishop. And the best leaders, you have to be somewhere in between. I actually lean a little bit towards the bishop rather than the policeman, because that's how I believe I create and have built value for other people, utilizing that system of leadership, trying to get people, the best to come out of them, to create a very good environment for them to work. And that's how we have grown this big.
Okay, humbling, as you say. And that, of course, I'm sure makes many people who are viewing this program and who are desirous of making an impact already sent out a prayer that I want to be like that man, who sustains 120 families and still counting. Because that's a wonderful impact beyond the profit you make, beyond the value built for yourself. You have such great impact, on those families. And that's the value of that is really one that you cannot be able to measure.
Yeah, you can.
I'm listening to your story, and especially as an SME, and I'm sure there are local spaces for in which you share your story, but are there some global opportunities where you have gotten to share the story of TreeTop and you?
Yeah, last week I was invited by the Commonwealth Secretariat. They had 400 delegates drawn from 54 Commonwealth member countries around the world, and the Secretary General was there in that meeting at Villa Rosa Kempinski. I was the only SME appointed by the government to speak in that forum. And I was articulating my whole TreeTop story, and I got a lot of support because I was also telling the delegates that we are export ready. I mean, we are exporting to Uganda, to Rwanda, to Tanzania. I want to go into Mauritius, into Seychelles, Mozambique. So I was really talking to those guys, and every country in the Commonwealth was represented, and I felt very honored. And it was a good opportunity for us, and also humbling, standing on top of that podium and telling the TreeTop story to 400 delegates.
And as the only SME chosen by the government to speak.
Exactly.
You know what, Bernard? I see a time when you will need a world tour, when you will, give your operations to just somebody else running them. And all you will do is go around the world and inspire people with this story, because it is fresh. 5 years down the line, still very fresh. I'm sure 10 years from now, it will even be bigger, right?
Yeah.
And the amount of inspiration that will come from that is amazing. You're a family man too.
Yes, I'm a family man.
You're a managing director on one hand, you're a family man on the other, and you seem to have invested so much, in Skyfords and in the brand. And one wonders, as a managing director of such a fast-growing firm, how do you also balance it out with family life?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yes, I've spent a lot of time building the TreeTop brand for the last 5 years, but I'm also a family man and a family man and a very committed family. I'm happy.
I like that.
Yeah,
especially in this time when lots of things are happening around them, families and men, being sometimes not so present. Now, when it comes from your mouth saying I'm a very committed family man, that's inspiring.
Yeah, I'm married to one wife, Rose Wanjiko, and I love her so much.
One wife is important, because when you say you're married, we never quite know how.
Exactly,
especially at such a time as this. Yeah,
exactly, and I'm among the very few people who have who are very happy. I'm very happy with her, really. And she's an incredible woman, very strong lady. And we have 3 children. I have my daughter who is 19 years old. I have a son who is 16, and the last born son who is 10. And we also got a young lady who we have adopted from my sister-in-law who lives in Germany. So she stays with us in Thome. So we are a family of about 6 people. So what I do is that I spend 8 to 6 working for TreeTop. Then I'm home early, around 7:30 every day. And on Saturday evening and Sundays are family days. So we go out for dinners, and we go out together as a family. We go to church. I told you I'm a very committed Catholic. I go to church at St. Gabriel Catholic Church in Thome, where I'm very active. I'm very happy with the small Christian community around the Stream Drive. I'm very active in that.
You're building a very big church.
Yeah, we're building a very big church. Yeah, very big.
So when you say small, it doesn't quite equate with the kind of sanctuary that you are building on a big one. Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be the biggest church in Kenya with 2,000 people seated. And we are very proud of that, because I believe you're anointed to build a God's church. You can't just build it. So I believe I'm anointed to do that, and I'm very happy to support that. Yeah. So I very good family person, and also be very good in balancing the two, because I don't want to just be focused more on the brand and then forget about the family. They have to grow together. Yeah, and it's a very incredible, because I've got a lot of support from my wife, a lot of support from my children, and I'm trying to inspire them so they can do greater things than what their father is doing.
Okay. Yeah. Now, when we are at that, what do you say of the many men who are in the corporate, and in the course of their chasing their dreams and making money, they have somehow left out their families. They have lots of money, but they have no presence of the man, of the husband, of the father. What would you say?
I would encourage them. I would encourage them to balance. And I always tell people to be guided by what I call a vision board. If you're a business person and you're also working in the corporate, and you haven't put together a vision board that helps you run your business and your life. And in the vision board, you have 3 columns. I normally make it very simple. You have 1 column on God, you have 1 column on family, you have 1 column on your business or your career. And then you populate this vision board with powerful words and powerful pictures of what you want to achieve. Under the God column, you want favor from God, you want good health, you want good health. Under the family column, you're looking at, you want to have a happy family, full of joy, love, companionship, and all the kind of things that you need to get, including maybe a family house and family car. Then on the side of the career and the business, you have to say, this is what I want to achieve. I want to build a business worth $1 billion. I want to maybe become the managing director of the business. And you keep on looking at that vision board every other day. And that's how you balance off the life. Most people do it without knowing because they have not put it down on paper and they are not intentional about it. I'm a very intentional parent. I'm a very intentional business person. Yeah. Everything I do, they have an intention behind it. Yeah.
It's coming out from your passion. And my very last question before you just speak a word of inspiration to especially young people. Many people who rise in the corporate and many people who get lots of money with their enterprises, somehow their spirituality fades. The more famous they become, the richer they grow, their spirituality tends to fade, even though they could initially have been very strong, committed people of faith. Now, can you speak to that? Because your faith seems to be very vibrant, even in all this growth, in all these expansions, in all the impact you're making. How do you make sure that your spirituality is not overtaken by power, by fame, by money?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I'll take you back to where I started this whole journey. Before I was able to sign the shareholders agreement with the investors that came in on board, I had a very strong prayer. And I was praying to God to give me the right investors who will be backing me up. And I prayed to my God and I said, God, let the people who will sign this shareholders agreement be the people that you would like me to work with. That is before we actually signed the document. And when we signed, I went back to go to my prayer and say, God, thank you very much for helping me to get me investors. As I prayed, and I still have faith and I believe these are the people you would like me to work with. So you start from there. For me, the key issue is having intention of what you want to do and praying hard for it. Because I keep even nowadays, I tell my wife, you have to keep on praying all the time. We have to pray for this business because sometimes money comes and it changes people's perspective and they pull them away from spirituality and from God and stuff like that. So you have to keep on praying that God help me when this money comes, it's going to serve you and serve your people, not just to serve me as Bernard or maybe in my family. And I keep on telling even young people when I get them, because if you're not prayerful, if you do not commit to prayer, if you don't commit things to God, and if you're not intentional, you could drift away because people get money, and what kicks in when you get money, they become very arrogant, they demean other people. And they are very proud and very arrogant. So you got to be very purposeful. You're going to be very intentional and tell your God, yes, the money is coming. I do not want to get out of the goodness of God. And that is what I believe in as a person.
And so God becomes an anchoring point.
Absolutely.
Amazing. And that's inspiring even for me, and I'm sure for the viewers also. They have a lot to say and a lot to learn, just from your story. And we are watching this space, because TreeTop is definitely going places. And your story also, I'm sure, is going to inspire lots of people as long as it is told and for as long as it is told. Now, young people who are watching this program, just your final word to them, a word of inspiration, a word of counsel, because I'm sure they would want to hear something that you'd want to tell them as they build their lives.
Yeah, I would tell them 2 words that can guide them. It's about hard work. It's hard work, and as you're working hard, you have to have faith in yourself and the self-belief that I can do it. And every time they wake up and they say their prayer, they must say these 3 words: I must, I will, and I can. Okay, then number 2 is discipline. They have to have a strong culture of discipline. When it comes about the discipline, I'm looking about the things that make young people not achieve their goals. There are always problems with maybe alcoholism or substance abuse, or not listening to their parents or to their pastors or to other people. So I'm a person who subscribes that if you work very hard and you have a culture of discipline and you have told the universe what you want and you are prayerful, you will achieve all your objectives.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Bernard?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Very inspiring.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And God bless TreeTop.
Amen.
God bless Skyfoods.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Viewers, we've been talking to Bernard Njoroge, who is the managing director, Skyfoods, the company behind the comeback of the TreeTop brand. Lots of things to glean from this conversation. Faith, hard work, discipline, compulsory for you to get to where you want to go. Also very important, there is space in Kenya. And believe it, there is space in Kenya for honest business. And finally, when you grow big, your faith does not need to become small. As you grow big, your faith must grow big with your bigness. This has been Spotlight.